It's go time. Hey, it's the Real HD Show. It's the higher discussion. Here to push that button because it's prime time with a purpose. Don't get nervous. We're going below the epidermis. That's right. You heard it first. You heard it here on the Real HD Show. What is the Real HD Show? Well, this is the show that you're going to find on these or any other airwaves. You won't find another show like it that deals with the good, the bad, the ugly of our culture, but heals it with freedom music. Freedom music happens from 7:30 to 8 o'clock right here. All you have to do is hit the call letters on the bottom, tune in early, and you too can be a part of that super motivating freedom music moment. But we're here, we're back, we're better than ever. It's the Real HD Show. Tell a friend, it's them again with adrenaline. It's the Real HD Show. We are blasting off to many Facebook channels, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Mob Crush, D Live, Trovo Nation. We are everywhere you want to be. We are the Real HD, the higher discussion. Turn on all your notifications, like, share, and subscribe. Comment so that every time we have a Real HD show, we can have a higher discussion with you. Because we want you to be there. We want you to get involved. We want you to jump on in the mix and let us know what you think about what's popping off. And as usual, we are going to thank some sponsors real quick. Total Package Energy, Melanated Company, all natural, Olympic tested, people approved, waters, gels, juices, zips, all type of stuff that you might want for that 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock crash. Total Package Energy, redeem vacations, bring people to the Real HD Show, 5 or more, and you too will have a 4-day, 3-night vacation at a American or Caribbean destination near you, courtesy of the Real HD Show and Redeem Vacations. Also, please check out my homie who is also a friend of the show because she's opening up her own shop, Black House Boutique. Paintings, crafts, shea butters, lotions, all kind of custom Black enterprising inventions and innovations you can find at the Black House Boutique, organized by D. Richardson. And you can go there and support them too. Tell them the Real HD Show sent you. Look out, ask for Jasmine. They have a GoFundMe that's on fire right now, and we want you to add to it. So it's GoFundMe.com/4D173D38. And that is that for now. And also, if you get the opportunity, go downtown Rochester and go to the Sibley building, go to the 3rd floor. And if you have anything in relation to podcast needs, recording needs, super information needs, you need a computer center, you need a photography studio, you need a dance studio, you need a choreo studio, you need a organic yoga studio, please go to EXP Studios in the Sibley building in Rochester, downtown. They will take care of all your studio multimedia needs there. Tell them the Real HD Show sent you. Tell them AJ James sent you. And as usual, as we like to start the show, and you guys can tell me if we need to do something different But I like to start it off with the elders and the ancestors' blueprint. Why? Because we're standing on the shoulders of greatness. And people have come before us to be here. You know what I mean? And people have paved the way and gave indelible contributions to our being here. And we need to acknowledge that. So, in a lot of problems that we have, we can solve through knowing what our ancestors and elders went through, using their battle plans and putting some nuance to it. So I'm going to share my screen and we will get to it. This is about Charles Brooks and this is also a stolen legacy moment where we find out little tidbits about our history that we did not know beforehand. So let's get to it. I'm going to enlarge this and fair use, fair use. Check us out. Real HD Show.
Brooks, inventor of America's first self-propelled street sweeper truck. In the late 19th century, as urbanization swept across America, cities faced an ever-growing problem: the accumulation of dust, dirt, and debris in the streets. Cleaning these streets was a laborious and time-consuming task, often done manually with brooms and shovels. However, in the late 1890s, one man named Charles B. Brooks set out to revolutionize street cleaning with the invention of the country's first self-propelled street sweeper truck. Charles B. Brooks was born in New York City in 1865 and grew up in an era when cities were rapidly expanding, resulting in congested and filthy streets. Brooks, a skilled engineer and tinkerer, was inspired to find a more efficient and practical solution to the growing urban sanitation problem. After years of experimentation and engineering, Brooks developed a groundbreaking invention in 1896, a self-propelled street sweeper truck. The vehicle combined elements of a horse-drawn carriage with innovative mechanical components. It featured a large sweeping mechanism attached to the front of the truck, equipped with brushes and rotating drums that could effectively collect debris and dirt from the streets. Powered by an internal combustion engine, the truck could move autonomously, eliminating the need for horses or manual labor. Brooks' invention garnered significant attention and interest from municipal governments struggling to maintain cleanliness in their cities. In 1897, the city of Newark, New Jersey, became the first to adopt and put into operation Brooks' self-propelled street sweeper truck. This marked a pivotal moment in the history of urban sanitation in the United States. The vehicle's success was immediate, as it dramatically improved the efficiency of street cleaning and reduced the labor force required for the task. The truck's mechanical sweeper could cover larger areas in less time than manual methods, and it could effectively collect and contain the debris it picked up. As a result, the streets became cleaner and safer for both pedestrians and vehicles. Brooks' invention continued to evolve and improve, leading to the widespread adoption of self-propelled street sweeper trucks across the country. Other cities quickly followed Newark's lead, recognizing the significant benefits of this innovative technology. Charles B. Brooks' self-propelled street sweeper truck not only revolutionized street cleaning, but also contributed to the overall improvement of public health and urban living conditions in the United States. His invention set the standard for modern street cleaning vehicles and established a legacy of innovation that continues to impact cities worldwide. Today, the legacy of Charles B. Brooks lives on as street sweeper trucks remain an essential part of urban sanitation and maintenance, helping to keep streets clean and safe for all residents and visitors. Charles B. Brooks' invention remains a testament to the power of innovation and engineering in addressing the practical challenges of urbanization and improving the quality of life in cities across America.
All right. So that was Charles Brooks' invention of that was Charles Brooks and the invention of the street sweeper. Now, perhaps he wasn't the first, but he certainly did make it a mainstay in the United States. And we want to celebrate that, brother. And we want to give our kudos to this brother for doing what he was able to do with the street sweeper that all made it a part of urban municipalities so that they can have the sanitation better than what they were. And you know, a lot of this unfortunately was drawn out of the savage inequalities of the Jim Crow era. So, you would have to solve a problem, and you would have to be in a certain space or in a certain place, or have the ingenuity or inventiveness to solve that problem. And it benefited, not only, it wasn't like it was like there to, become this viral thing that we concentrate on, where it's infecting the nation, but it was just something that someone would have invented at the time to solve their own backdoor issues as to what they're doing with their sanitation. I remember different parts of Alabama, even today, are having sewage problems, and you know the you know tanks that are in people's backyards that collect the poop are overflowing, and people are literally living in sewage in certain parts of Alabama right now in 2024. Um, so we do know the value of sanitation, and especially if it coincides with your tax dollars. If your tax dollars are supposed to pay for it, um, then doggone it, we should be educated on it, and be educated on what Charles Brooks contributed to the sanitation industry, and why our tax dollars are devoted to that, and not take that, pride and glory from the man. I hope they're paying his family. I hope that he owns a patent on that, because I know Edison and a lot of other inventors during the 18 and 1900s was running around trying to steal inventions from everyone. So that was our ancestors and elders blueprint on the Real HD show. Please, it was about Charles Brooks, the inventor of the street sweeper. Please put it in a comment. Give us a like, give us a share, give us a subscribe. Let us know what you think about Charles Brooks, the inventor of the street sweeper, and how he was able to make that a household name. And what does that also say about the ingenuity, the perseverance, and determination of our folks within the country? And also, as we study the fourth come, the fourth is past. People who have done whatever they've done within the midst of the 4th of July, celebrating it, not celebrating it, whatever you would like to do with that time period. You don't have to feel like you have imposter syndrome in a country that you contributed a lot to, just because they don't teach it a lot, and just because they don't parade it, doesn't mean it hasn't been done. And you can come here to the Real HD show to find out all those quirky things that have been done by our folks to make our, let me not even say quirky, let me just say essential things that have been done to make our living, or to make what this country has turned into, a viable thing. But let's go right into our AAT report. Music, please. Welcome to the AAT report. Healthy, wealthier, and wiser for a great you. Why? Because we need cell power. We've been robbed of cell power because of the recent events of the pandemic. We've been robbed of loved ones on that same level. So we do the AAT report courtesy of my homeboy Sincere. If he's on, please jump on and let's rock out. There's the call letters on the bottom. If not, you guys can kick back, relax, and let's talk about being healthy, wealthier, and wiser. So last time on the show, we had a lot of people on the show, and one of our faithful listeners disclosed that she had cancer, or was on, that cancer could be on that person's diagnosis at some point. And that person is special to me. We go way back. So I said I would dedicate a little bit of the AAT report tonight to disclosing some of the things that are really important about cancer prevention. And one of the important things about cancer prevention are the foods that we intake so that we can fight off the cancer ahead of time. And we're fortifying our bodies in the current time to fight against cancer. So that's right. We will be talking about cancer fighting foods tonight on the AAT report. Okay, here we go. So, healthiest ethnic foods that prevent cancer. So, first, what I would like to do is I would like to show a video about this very thing. Just hoping that I'm waiting for everyone who wants to join in and everybody to come in the building. So I'll play these vids until we get people coming through, and we will do our thing after that. KT, the Arch Degree, has an interesting piece about cancer, and it's alternative, it's different, and it's very groundbreaking. But we should check it out because some of our local medicines are used and synthesized with this very same thing. And I'll be back to talk a little bit about that after we see this clip from KT, the Arch Degree. Check it out.
Best cures for eczema, brothers that got libido issues, you know what I'm saying? And just snake venom itself is pretty much what the healthcare that's over here, the Western Hemisphere healthcare, what they on, they study snakes. They've been studying snakes.
Wow.
That's why. What's the logo? What is the symbol?
Snake on the pole.
Snake on the pole, either 2 or 1. And they're talking about Asclepius, you know, they're giving honor to him, but at the same time, they're talking about the fact that they study the snakes, they study the venom, and through studying the venom in the snakes, they find out how to kill you slow or heal you immediately. And the snake offers both.
Wow, here we go. The snake offers both. Let us know what you think about that. Would you be willing to cure cancer if you came down with it by taking snake venom in prepared doses, of course? And this is not a cure-all for any ailments, but that is definitely a unique way of looking at a cure for cancer. And I think we need to, with that sort of a thing running rampant, I think we need to investigate all of the ways that we can be better and be more prepared to deal with this thing called cancer. I had a video I wanted to show you. Let me get to it. Let me see. Okay, cool. So let's see. Okay, so I'll put the video on, and this is by Dr. Layla Africa, and he is talking about cancer as well. Let's check this out, Real HD Show, and then we'll go on.
Attached to food. They eat food because they're having problems. They eat sugar because they have the inability to give love or receive love, because sugar is associated with love.
Is that right?
Yes.
So how did you know that, Dr. Africa?
Salt is associated with anger. And black people eat the most salted potato chips of any racial group in America because they're angry.
Okay.
And
what about this hot sauce thing I see?
We do have a hot sauce problem.
Yeah.
We're going into hot sauce, and you're also going into vinegar. Because vinegar comes with the hot sauce, and vinegar is a chemical that's made from eating meat. People get addicted to the chemicals they take and the chemicals they make inside of their body.
Okay.
That's 2 addictions.
Okay.
The chemicals you take and the chemicals you make.
Okay.
So when you're eating a lot of meat, you're making a lot of vinegar, as well as ammonia.
Okay.
You see, that's the chemical addiction. So they're going to thrive for that.
Okay.
The hot sauce in their mind is trying to drive them, stimulate them to have more money or more lottery tickets or something. It's a cycle. It's emotional attachment to the food that we have.
I've seen people who wouldn't start a meal without locating the hot sauce.
Yeah, because they're trying to,
Where is the hot sauce?
Stimulate themselves to be rich or whatever
they're
their
trying to
fantasy
cover
is.
up the food.
No.
I can't imagine.
It's emotional. It's emotional.
Okay.
People eat for emotional reasons.
Okay, feelings.
Yeah, they want something to crunch on to get rid of frustration. They chew, you see.
All right, that was Dr. Layla Africa talking about some of the food ailments that lead to what is running around rampant right now, type 2 diabetes and all types of cancer ailments. I have another video to show you, top 6 anti-cancer foods. And we'll get into that right now, and then we'll get into the article, and then we can keep it pushing. There we go. All right, check this out. Real HD Show. Top 6 cancer-fighting foods you should be eating right now. All right, let's go back for a minute. So the first one is lemon. Okay, now whenever I used to cleanse or detox or do whatever I used to do with in my my healing journeys that I would be on, I would start with a lemon base. Lemon is good to clean out the respiratory system. It's good to clean out the digestive system. It's good to clean out the bowel system, excretory. Lemon is just one of the best, and it is it gives you an esprit, it gives you an energy. So lemon is always a dope base to start out with. It'll clean you out and it'll give you energy to go. All right, next one is turmeric and cumin. Now this is curcumin. Now this is something that I can vouch for myself because I've taken regiments of this throughout the year at certain times, and it does really help you with your respiratory ailments. It helps you with your circulation ailments. So if grandma got that bloat foot, when she ain't looking, put a little turmeric in her food, you know what I mean? And do that every day if you're preparing grandma's meals and she has those, circulation issues. So turmeric is also good for that. Turmeric is also, believe it or not, good for the respiratory system when you are sick. It's a great ward against pathogens and diseases. Turmeric, number 2. Number 3 is ginger. Now this one is certifiable, and I have that certifiable anti-cancer causing thing. So anything that can bring down inflammation is great to fight off cancer, because cancer can't metastasize or get bigger if it's not inflamed. That means it doesn't have a radical spirit and it's not inflamed, and therefore it is not something that can metastasize, multiply, and be bigger in your gut biome, right? So ginger is one of those products, one of those organic nature remedies, superfoods, if you will, that not only does it taste good, but it has so many beneficial properties, including anti-inflammatories, which help stop cancer-causing spreads. So ginger is also good. Ginger is also good to keep the yang up for the men, along with the turmeric that we just saw. So moving on to number 4. Number 4 is beet juice, beetroot juice, or beet juice. Now this stuff is hot, I'm gonna warn you, but it does the job. It will clean you out. If you're taking raw beets, I would suggest you do that. Go to the public market or go to your supermarket, buy you a couple of beets with the stems and the roots connected still. So you know you're getting an organic product. Hopefully it's not hydroponic. And you slice up some of the beetroot, juice down. That is great for blood cleansing. The darker the beet, the better. The darker the juice, the better. That's kind of a rule of thumb when you're eating for health. The darker what you're eating, the better. The darker the juice in your smoothies that you're drinking, the healthier product that you're going to gain from it. And then once again, I hope everybody's getting something out of this. Garlic, along with ginger and turmeric, are kind of like those, organic superheroes, if you will. And they will keep you right and ready. Garlic will keep that cold off of you. Garlic will keep that blood pressure down. Garlic will keep that circulation going. And garlic will ward off unnecessary pathogens and things that are trying to enter the body to disrupt your health and your peace. Believe it or not, putting a little bit of this in some water works wonders. And also, I wanted to go back to ginger real quick, because ginger has some really dope properties. Ginger, you can make a soup out of it when you're sick. And it's great if you're having any sort of issue with the body that's respiratory in nature. You get that ginger soup. I know they make it at several Asian restaurants and several places that you can patronize, but it's nothing like doing it at home by yourself. Slice that bad boy up, boil it, steep it. Can't go wrong if you want to help yourself with a little bit of ginger soup. Hey, peace, brother Mozzie. You down with ginger soup gang? You down with it, bro?
Oh yeah, I do a ginger shot every morning with some beets,
Dope.
Celery,
Dope.
Parsley, cilantro, apple.
Fire.
Make a nice little juice. Got a gallon. I drink a shot in the morning and a shot in the evening.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's the way you got to do it. So, responding to our viewers' issue about being on the onset of cancer, I was dedicating the AAT report today to cancer-fighting foods. We just heard Dr. Layla Africa talk about foods that can be cancerous, and now we're talking about foods that are anti-cancer causing, or that can help in the fight against cancer, especially with so many processed food options going on right now. That's running rampant. And I know we did the whole Ozempic versus diabetes conversation. A lot of that is stemming in that direction as well. Your thoughts?
I'm sorry, say it again.
No, I was thinking about your thoughts about how, we're having an ever-growing population of people coming down with cancer. And a lot of it is based in the type 2 diabetes that metastasizes into cancer after a certain period of time. And what is your thought about what we're talking about tonight in terms of anti-cancer causing foods, as opposed to all of the processed foods that we know we eat that put us in that type 2 diabetes status, or even the cancer status?
I think that we need to look at, one, grandma and grandpa lived a long time. And if you looked at what grandma and grandpa ate, 9 times out of 10, whatever they ate didn't come out of box. So we have to make sure we stay off the box food. But also, not just the food, we need to think about our environments. Because there are people who we know, and I'll use, my cousin's wife, her sister, she lived a pretty clean life, but she still had issues. And one of those issues was growing up, and where their house was, they lived near power lines. And most people say, well, we have power lines running all the time. But their power lines were those big transformers that was, maybe the second stage coming from the power plant. And if you go back there, people, and I remember going to their house for the first, when he got married to her, going out to her mom's house. And I went back there and I can feel the hairs on my arm, man. Moving. Remember how you do that experiment in high school, in elementary school? And,
static electricity.
Yeah. So I said to my wife, who she was probably a couple of months pregnant with our son, you need to go. And they were like, yo, why your cousin being so funny? Like, I'm not being funny. I said, you guys don't feel that? But they've been around it all their life. Because, when black folks got a chance to integrate into white people's lives and they got to be able to move out into some of these areas, which traditionally had racial covenants, they allowed us to move in certain neighborhoods. And people say, well, white people live there too. Yeah, they did. But a lot of things that we do, a lot of things that have been created don't have us in mind. So we know if it's going to affect them one way, it's going to affect us a different way. But more importantly, environmental racism and environmental issues is so paramount.
Yes.
Some of us, when you look at the history of Rochester and topography and understand what used to be where at certain times, and you start to find out, well, so-and-so has such and such cancer. And for the life of you, like, I don't understand, is there something to eat? Because that's the main, eating processed foods and some of the things that we had and a lot of sugar and all that is a definite no-no, and it's definitely causing cancer. But some of our people, and a lot of our people actually, are getting cancer that are eating right. And we got to look at the other piece, which is the environmental aspects of where we live. You may be living in an area that was once a park. You may be, and then you find out they created that park after I'll give you a great example. Edison Tech High School was built on a landfill.
How about it?
You know what I mean?
Crazy.
You got this big school with,
you talking about the old,
and people who don't know Rochester, that's one of the bigger high schools here.
I'm talking about the old one, not the new one.
I'm talking about the new one.
Oh, the new one.
The new one was built. Yes, out there in Lexington. That used to be a landfill there. That was a city's landfill.
Interesting. See, you educated me, bro. I didn't know that.
Yeah, bro. And years ago, back when I was in high school, they had a small problem, which was when it got really bad rainstorm, some of the remains of the landfill was seeping up to the top. Kid playing a football practice one day, and a bottle kind of squished his way up to the top, man, and it was broken. He cut himself.
Wow.
But they know that. But what happens is people don't talk about these things, and they have a short memory. So it kind of just comes and goes, and it's like, oh well. But that plays a vital role. Like you thinking, and your thought is, wow, they got Amazon out there, they got all these companies out there. Yeah.
That's interesting.
What?
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I would have assumed, and of course, assuming makes an ass out of all of us. I would have assumed that they were going to break ground on a brand new high school, that they would have researched the area to find out that there were no, immediate dangers to the kids environmentally before they did that.
But remember the politics. Somebody got the job, and they said my test reports when we did our environmental impact study, it was safe to build a school there.
Right.
And we put this tarp over, we put this tarp and we put another 10 feet of soil, all this different stuff. And it was just no this and there's no that. And there you go. Now imagine the kids who go there from 9th grade to 12th grade. And then by the time they're 35, 40 years old, they got cancer. And we're trying to figure out where the heck did this come from? So these are things that, as a whole, we have to learn to understand what's in our neighborhoods or what was in our neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Because you got to remember too, I'm sorry, You know a little bit about Rochester. That area out there where they built all those all those warehouses and factories and stuff like that over there, that was suburban Rochester.
Right.
So in the suburbs is where you started.
At some point that was considered suburbs. Now it's industrial area, right?
Exactly. And most times in a lot of these industrial areas back in the day, what did they do with the industrial waste? They usually buried it outside in the back of the building.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. That's
So
kind
you
of
had
the MO.
twofold over there. You got industrial waste over there, and you got where at one point it was a city dump site.
Well, maybe that's just the reason why they decided to make that area all businesses instead of residential, or at least residential as possible, because of that very thing. And I got some loved ones that live in that kind of radius, and I gotta put them on, man, so that they know that they living in a radius of all of this exposed radiation and harmful additives in the environment, man. That's important. Hey, man, thanks for jumping on the show, man, and breaking that down for us. I didn't even know that about.
I'll give you another area. If you go up Rochester, you know where what's that place called? You know where Bar Shalom is, right?
Yeah.
If you go down the street on Fernwood, not towards Culver, but back the other way, that's a known toxic site in Rochester. And here's what's funny. The Rochester Housing Authority purchased the property.
Really? See? Wow. Yeah.
So, but once again, these are the things that we need to know.
Probably dirt cheap on the dollar, huh?
Nope, because of some of the politics that went. Remember the big scandal they had? Somebody who had the property was able to sell it, bought the property for $60,000. It's a few acres. Bought the property for $60,000 and sold, and the housing authority bought it for over $600,000.
Right.
Remember, they went through all that scandal. It's a part of that. So, stuff is going on, man. We got to understand around Rochester. If you want to understand why our people are constantly having these issues, man, we live in areas, and even when we thought, because when you look at that area, it's not your traditional lower income neighborhood. It's a working class, maybe upper lower class or lower middle class, but they were working folks that own their properties over there, and they're thinking, oh, I finally can get my piece of the pie or the American dream. And then what they made available to you is some property that ain't no good.
Right.
And then now you trying to live right. So what you doing? You growing some food. I'm growing me some fruits and vegetables. I'll make sure I try to eat wholesome. And you growing cancerous food.
Right. Because of your proximity to radiation.
And you could probably be right on top of it, and your soil's contaminated.
Right. Wow. There you go. And how many wash, rinse, repeat episodes of that can we see in a lot of urban neighborhoods, not only in Rochester, but throughout the entire country?
Exactly. And in areas like, for example, people don't remember because a lot of people ain't old, some are saying they're old enough. But Cleveland, what was Cleveland known for? Cleveland was known for having the Lake of Fires. In other words, Erie was on fire.
Yep.
It was considered pretty much, we got to figure out how we're going to clean this up, or people just need to move, man. And northern Cleveland would have been abandoned because of so much chemical that was dumped in the water, as well as that was seeping into the ground. And don't forget, too, we got Lake Ontario up here. Some days you can go swimming, some days you can't.
Tell me about it. It's crazy, man. This is nuts stuff, but I'm glad that we're bringing it to the people. We're bringing it to them in a great way where they can be made aware. They don't have to be out here scared. They can make conscious decisions about what they're going to do and how to.
Exactly. And I think you did a great one last Wednesday when we talked about foods that were banned in other countries that we eat every day.
Yeah.
They didn't consider them food. They say if it's food, it should only have a couple ingredients. If you got 16 ingredients on the box when you see it, that ain't food.
Facts.
And we have to live like that. If you're gonna buy something that's processed, make sure that it only has 2 or 3, or 4 ingredients in it. But once you start getting the 8, 9, and dextrose and sugar number 99 and all this other kind of stuff, you ain't got food anymore.
17 syllable words to describe something.
So always remember that when you're buying food. And I have to let's be real, man. And this stuff is addictive. I'm not talking to the people as if I'm someone who got it together, because I don't. I'm a flavor junkie like everybody else, and I fight hard every day.
For sure.
I'm starting to turn the table, mainly because I'm getting older now, and I'm winning that battle. But man, listen, especially when you're young, you think you can conquer the world, man. And so for our younger folks who are out here listening, understand it catches up, man. It catches up. Take some time, to help your body. Go sit in a sauna somewhere. Sweat out that. If you can't work out, go sit in a sauna and sweat.
Yes.
That's why the natives.
Or just turn on the shower, block underneath and over the door seal of your bathroom, and sweat it out.
But you got to get that stuff out your system, man.
Yes, sir.
You can drink some herbal tea to help cleanse your liver or detoxify your liver. Those little things we can do, man. Every little bit helps.
Well, tea is
that's what we have to understand.
Tea is definitely a blue zone food or diuretic that you should incorporate into your diet more times than not. If you see some of the people that live the longest on the planet, they're avid tea drinkers.
That they are.
Yeah, man. So let me read this real quick so we can move on. It says the 6 healthiest ethnic foods that prevent cancer. Our vision of cancer has changed in recent years. Cancer has been long recognized as a devastating disease that kind of appears overnight. We know now that it's more of a chronic illness, which in most cases requires several decades to reach a dangerous level. So it says, advances in research have clearly shown the progression of these micro tumors to mature malignancies is strongly influenced by lifestyle habits, particularly eating habits. So which cuisine is best for fighting cancer? Read below. Japanese. So we're talking about Japanese diet. The Japanese diet that they recommend is one of the best ones for preventing cancer. Health benefits, which should have you living longer and much healthier. They drink green tea daily. Black tea, green tea have a lot of antioxidants, but green tea contains EGCG, a polyphenol that inhibits the growth of cancer cells. So there you go. So fish and soy products help to slow down the cholesterol of our body as well. Also, Thai cuisine is another one. That tom yum soup is one of the things in the Thai cuisine that helps. Indian cuisine, ginger and turmeric, heavy inside of the Indian cuisine. Herbs such as garlic, onion, chives, and their cousins, which is leek and shallot, improve liver detoxification, protects our genes from mutations. They thus contribute safeguards, safeguarding themselves from cancers, especially digestive. Incorporate garlic and onion in your salads every day if you can. Vietnamese cuisine. I'm not going to read all of the stuff, but it says the Vietnamese cuisine contains mushrooms, fresh fish, beans, herbs, and legumes. One more, it says it has an element called kangi in it, which is a type of rice porridge popular in many Asian countries. Kangi is a food fed for who are sick. It is easy to eat and delicious It contains antioxidants packed with spices. Of course, everybody knows about the Greek or the olive diet. It's really great for combating cancer. We are Italian food with tomato, that lycopene that is within the food, which is within the tomato sauce, a natural ingredient of tomato sauce, is very, very great for fighting off cancer. We got the Italian diet, we got the Greek Mediterranean diet, we got the Vietnamese diet, we have the Indian diet. Thai food is very good for the antioxidants, and Japanese food for its polyphenols that fight off cancer agents in the body. And there we have with that. And that was our AAT report. Healthy, wealthier, and wiser for a brand new you. And I know all those foods aren't gross. A lot of them foods is what people pay top dollar in these super duper restaurants for. What's the a la carte of your choice amongst those different cuisines, bro? What are you leaning towards?
I like the Asian.
Okay.
Like Indian, like Vietnamese.
Okay.
Like Thai.
Dope.
Yeah,
Thai is dope.
Thai is good because Thai cook with a lot of coconut.
Yep. If you can go get that congee soup too. There's a dope restaurant. You ever been to King and I, bro? Over there by MCC?
Yes, but you got to go to the new one, Kong on Winton Road.
Oh, really? Okay, put me on.
Yeah.
What's the best thing to get from there?
Everything, man, because she's not as commercialized as King and I.
Right.
So hers is definitely a little bit more home style Thai food. She makes a lot of the same stuff. It's just a little bit more homier.
Yeah. Dope. And it always makes you feel good. You might feel a little crazy with all the spices and all of the aphrodisiacs and all the peppers, but boy, it'll clear you up. It'll clear you up and clear you out. I'll tell you that. If not nothing else, it'll clear you up and clear you out. So that was it, man. Those are our 6 cancer ethnic foods that prevent cancer right here on the Real HD show. Please check that out. And come back and let's have a higher discussion about it. Maybe you found some things that are cancer fighting agents through the food that you eat from your ethnic group. I'm sure Nigerians have some. I'm sure Caribbeans have some. We just mentioned it. We just mentioned coconut. Put it in the description, timestamp it, and let us know what you think about those particular things as it relates to our food. So let's keep it moving. Oh, yeah, that's right. I said I want to start my series on cayenne pepper. So let's do it. Let's start it tonight. So here are some of the benefits from eating cayenne pepper. And we'll be updating this every time we do a show, so that we can bring you the latest and the best on all of these things. Here we go, Real HD Show. Check it out.
Benefits of cayenne pepper. Cayenne peppers contain capsaicin, a compound that helps fight inflammation and pain. 1. Fights arthritis. 2. Boosts immunity. 3. Lowers blood pressure. 4. Treats diabetes. 5. Prevents heart disease. 6. Reduces pain. 7. Helps digestion. 8. Relieves acid reflux. 9. Can help with weight loss. 10. May be good for your skin.
And there you have it, folks. Cayenne pepper, superfood. you guys should mob it. You guys should make it a real part of your life and make it a real part of your everyday routine. So today's show, waiting for Brother Mozzie to get back, but until then, we'll rock out. Today's show is the July Ether Heater. That was last show's posting, and this is today's show's posting. You know, so that's the chemical makeup for ether. You know what I mean? R, oxygen, R, and we're gonna get to why this is important. So, what is ether, man? Let's kind of just jump into it real quick. So let's just look at it. What is an ether? Ether is, in an ancient cosmological speculation, an element conceived as filling all space beyond the sphere of the moon and being constituent substance of stars and the planet and of their spheres. Ether was variously regarded as a pure form of fire or air, or as differing in kind from all of the four elements. By some, it was imagined to be the constituent substance of the soul. Very powerful. And there's a conscious take on ether as well that I'm going to just read really quick. Dealing with ether. It says, ether, the ether sign, is associated with consciousness. It connects us to the infinite space, Akasha. That is according to Asian folklore. It has to do with communication, sound vibration, and all that lies between spatial, and physical matter. So that's ether, man. We consider it on the Real HD show a sign of pure truth, or a sign of real information being given to the people every day in every way. So it's July, man, and we just went through the 4th. How'd you spend your 4th, bro?
I'm sorry, man. Got the wind blowing, cars going by.
Nah, you good, you good. I was just asking you how you spent the 4th, and you know what I mean? Did it hold any significance to you? Does it not? And I know we didn't really get to that because we had a heavy episode on diet last episode.
Well, the 4th is typically for me, though. It's just a time. Although we don't celebrate the 4th per se, we use any time as a family, select family members to get together and fellowship, and enjoy each other's company. Because, as we're busy dealing with our day-to-day lives that we can forget about our families and friends. So when you have a dedicated time in which you have off, you try to take advantage of it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we have a patron saint, if you will, patron brother, ancestor, Frederick Douglass, and he had some interesting things to say about what the 4th of July meant to him. And it's a famous passage. Is called "What is 4th of July to a Slave?" And we're gonna hear a little bit about some of the interpretations of that right now on the Real HD show, and we'll talk a little bit about it. I meant to play this on Wednesday before the 4th, but we'll do it now. Never too late. Let's get it going. Here we go. Real HD show. Fair use, fair use.
Southern labor history, on July 5th, 1852, Frederick Douglass gave a keynote speech at an Independence Day rally in Rochester, New York, asking the question,
"What to a slave is the 4th of July?"
Douglass himself had escaped from slavery and had become a renowned speaker, writer, and abolitionist. In his speech, Douglass acknowledged the significance of the 4th of July celebration, recognizing the achievements made by American people during the Revolutionary War. However, Douglass questioned the hypocrisy of celebrating freedom and independence while millions of African Americans were still in chains. Douglass was confrontational in his delivery.
"Keep your holiday, your hunger, the blood in your teeth. A theater of denial, a propaganda pageant, and we are all on the front lines. All summer my uncle couldn't sleep, and he was born free, but has never been."
Douglass later asks,
"What to the American slave is your 4th of July?" I answer, "A day that reveals to him more than all other days in the year, the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is a constant victim.
Abolitionists have hailed Douglass for his courage and eloquence. Pro-slavery factions criticized and dismissed his argument for the dignity and welfare of his people. But Douglass's speech remains a powerful testament to the struggle for freedom and the ongoing fight for equality.
All right, man. So that was Freddie D putting it down for us with what is the 4th of July to a slave or someone who is in chattel servitude. I'm gonna put this up on the screen, bro. What in the world does that have to do with us in 2024? Does anybody still care? Does anybody resonate with what old Freddie D was putting down? Put it in the chat. Let us know where you're at. And me and Miles are gonna build on it, man. Freddie, good old Freddie D. What is 4th of July to a slave? What in the world does this have to do with us? And does this ask or beg the question, where does our, I guess, solidarity for things like this stop and start in the 21st century as related to the Freddie D excerpt?
Well, I think the unfortunate part is many have fought to consciously change the history such that a lot of us don't remember what the 4th of July means. And then those who forget tend to know what the propaganda is.
Yeah.
And then a lot of us are afraid to step out of that track that's been set for us. You know, we have a track we have to walk. You walk that, then they love you. So we assume. But if you step off the sidewalk, and everybody have a fear of stepping off the sidewalk. That's why the things that happen to us continue to happen to us.
Yes, sir. So if I postulated a question to you about the 4th of July not being exactly what everybody thinks it is meant to be, what would you say to me about that double meaning that the 4th has for its creators that is kind of out of the peripheral or out of the conscious, center of most people? What would you say if I told you 4th of July had a different meaning? I think you know exactly where I'm coming from.
Well, what I would say you're correct. It does have a different meaning. And that meaning that it has doesn't involve us. How can it involve a people, that was only considered 3/5 of a human? So for all of us who sit there and even you listen to your white friends who try to guilt you into saying that you're racist and all this other stuff and you're not a good American,
right?
That just kindly remind them that you weren't considered human. You were 3/5 of a man. There was nothing that was taking place at that time that had us in any way, shape, or form even considered. And then what? We had to wait 100 years later for something to even happen. So independence in America missed us for over 100 years. They're having celebrations every year. It didn't include the slaves or that 3/5 of a human.
Let's talk about it.
Now you're just supposed to forget because you feel that you had nothing to do with slavery, even though you have all the benefits of the world.
So a question about the 3/5 idiom that's in the Constitution. This government that everybody's running rampant right now to participate in and be a part of with these debates and all of the sensationalism that's going on during this election cycle. And it's not just the presidential, it's also the congressional piece. Do you believe, why do you think 3/5 of a man has not been removed, categorically removed from the wording of the Constitution, even though they have amendments that are supposedly meant to repair that sort of language and that sort of nomenclature and how it affects the people. Why do you think that hasn't been removed yet?
Because since 1948, when Gunnar Myrdal did his report, why do I always forget the name? The American Dilemma, the problem of the Negro in modern democracy. In that book, it talked about how they will systematically remove those individuals. They're not wanted anymore. Also, those who will be left, or we kind of turned back into what they were when they first came to the country. This is not me making this up. This is a report commissioned by the government at that time. And the Swedish economists actually went through and wrote a big, long expose explaining all this stuff. I mean, the reality is right now, while we're sitting here thinking that somehow we are the great Americans, they're not letting in these immigrants for no reason.
Right.
They're exhausting all the resources. And so now you're going to be left, and here's the thing: when you're still considered 3/5 of a man, you never took it off the books. You can always enact what you still have on the books.
Right.
And it sounds crazy.
Like the infamous, 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment slavery.
Amendment. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you never take it off, you can always go back to it. So let me ask you this. Do you think Project 25 and others, the Cambridge Institute, Project 25 coming out of the Heritage Foundation, do you think those kind of clandestine think tank organizations, do you think that this is their, I guess, directive? Do you think this is what they want to do with all of the, I guess, quote unquote, boogeyman tactics that they're putting out there with the Project 25 warnings? What's your thoughts on that?
I think that we better wake up and understand that they're trying to make a major shift. But here's where it's going to backfire. And I hate to bring up that good old white man, David Dukes.
Let's talk about
it. He understands that, and without admitting it, he won't admit it. But his fight is, let's just leave black people alone. Let's not act like they don't exist. We need to focus on the real power structure in America. The fact that the Jews can be over there exterminating everybody, and we got all these white folks running around saying, let's support them, leave them alone. We got a problem.
Right.
Because he talks about, you're going after people who have who has no power in this country. They're not the ones who is buying up all the land or buying up the businesses that our kids need to go work at. That go work at a kid's working at 7-Eleven, he's making $7 an hour, and the Asian guy, the Indian guy wants him to work 70 hours a week at $7 an hour. And then the one day he calls in, he wants to cut them loose. That ain't black people. So he's trying to get them to understand that their preoccupation with blackness is now starting to hurt them. That's that Bobby, like Dr. Bobby Rice says, psychopathic racial personality. I've said this numerous times before. We're so concerned about black people that you're allowing other people who you really need to be focusing your energy on. You've allowed them to come into your country and basically take it over from you, while at the same time you're shitting on them in their own country. Don't think these people don't forget. Don't think they don't forget. So for us, I almost want to say that Project 2025 is kind of a very misplaced, but it will have major effects on us in a very negative way. But it's also going to hurt them because they're not going after the real issues in America. They still have this fixation on blackness and black people that is not going to help them move forward or maintain this country. And one thing that they got to understand about us, we can survive.
Hey,
If there's anything else, we know how to do that.
Yes, sir. So I have a question for you, man. Which part of this breakdown would you like to get into? Would you like to get into some Project 25 info and awareness, or would you like to get into some uh, a little further breakdown of the esoteric nature of the 4th of July? What's your thought?
Finish up with the 4th of July. I think it'll be good for them to actually hear it.
Okay, cool. So there's a grand leader of the Moorish Science Temple, Taj Bey, and he's interesting, brother. And I don't begrudge the intelligentsia one way or the other. I just take it and I vet it and I try to, take it for what it's worth, do the research, do the primary, secondary, and tertiary sourcing on the facts that are given. And let's check out the facts that Brother Taj Bey is giving right now on the 4th of July, right here on the Real HD Show. I'm going to let Brother Mozzie get settled and do what he got to do. And we will show this right now. Check it out. Let us know what you think. Brother Taj.
Peace, everyone. This is Abdullah Bey. Another lesson on July 4th, the astronomical origin of July 4th, and why the colors, how do the colors red, white, and blue tie to Sirius the dog star? So we're looking at the astronomical origin of the colors red, white, and blue. So the colors of red, white, and blue tied to the dog star Sirius. You have the Sirius is flickered at times where it's white, it's blue, and it's red. So you also have Sirius being the colors of red, white, and blue, and they were used politically. So the white crown of Upper Egypt is called the Hedjat. That's the white royal sovereign crown of Upper Egypt. It is known as the Hedjat. That is Hedjet. The red crown of Lower Egypt is the Deseret. That's Deshret. And you have the blue crown, the Kepresh, the Kheppresh, the Kepresh. So you have there the colors of red, white, and blue tying to Sirius the dog star. So that we often think that the colors red, white, and blue have their origin in the Star Spangled Banner, and that the colors red, white, and blue in no way, fashion tied to us, and most of us are not aware of the astronomical origin. No, neither are aware of the political tie to Egypt, the Hetka Ptah, with the white crown of Upper Egypt, the red crown of Lower Egypt, and the blue crown. So that's important that we understand that July 4th has everything to do with us. All right. So that is it's the helical rising of Sirius. That is where the Sirius and the sun are in 0 degrees of separation. It brings about the inundation or flooding of the Nile River. Go to mooresandmasonry.org. Go to mooresandmasonry.org and get my book, Moors and Masonry, Masonic Complex Square and the Connection to Measurement and Timekeeping. Peace, everyone.
All right. So I know you are a very learned brother yourself, and you study a lot of these things. And any validity to what the brother Taj Abdullah Bey was talking about?
I wouldn't say. I understand where he's coming from, but I think what happens is we take scientific history out. red, white, and blue. The European at that time did not know about Sirius A and B. They didn't learn about that till 1986. So there was no way that they were. And even when you look at the various anthropologists, I forget, I think Leakey might have been one of them, but other anthropologists, I've heard them talked about it. These scientists were what, in the 80s, basically, where they went to the Dogon, and the Dogon told them about Sirius A and Sirius B, but we didn't have the technology to measure the color coming from those planets. And remember, the large telescopes that we have, everything that it looked at was in black and white. So I have a hard, some things, you know, I know his readings and where he's coming from. And so some stuff is hard for me to bite and chew, knowing what technology was and is, and what Europeans, looking at the history, what they knew and didn't know. We're now saying that they were these great learned individuals back then, and that's why they did what they did with the red, white, and blue. They ain't have no damn knowledge of none of that shit back then. There's a lot of things that they did. There's a lot of things they did more or less, I want to say happenstance, but for lack of a better way of explaining it, that's pretty much what happened.
So what's interesting about what you're saying is you're absolutely right. And you're talking about a group of people who were, for the most part, illiterate. If you're talking about the average agrarian in the Middle Ages, but if you're talking about some of the more learned people, your Copernicus, your Enlightenment scholars, if you will, so-called learned, right? There's a 1054, King Leopold in 1054, some of his scholars that were attached to him noticed about, have you ever heard of the Crab Nebula explosion?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen and show a little bit of the Crab Nebula explosion that happened in 1054. And what's interesting about that is that, I hope everybody can see it. Yeah, there you go. So that's the Crab Nebula explosion. So you see the red, you see the white, you see the blue, you see all of this stuff going into play. And several, according to the ruminations about this, several societies, kingdoms, whatever have you, noticed this, especially China, very observant. A lot of King Leopold's, I guess, more learned individuals knew about this. This was called the measuring the proper motion of supernova debris across the sky of over 17 years. This is a group of astronomers was able to confirm the 1054 explosion date. And this is done through like a super powerful telescope. These astronomers found that the supernova remnant had a very faint jet of stellar debris. Shows from time to time that the crab exploded somewhere around the 11th century, in perfect accord with historical records. For the past 100 years, astronomers have puzzled over the discrepancy between the age of the Crab Nebula versus the suggested and numerous historical sightings of this around the world, the ancient world. So what's interesting about King Leopold and what he did before the proliferation of Africa is that he chose the red and the white and the blue. He was the first king to choose to put that on the flag. And they're saying that some of these explosions, out of these, I guess, learned things from his scientists, had him choose those colors. And then, of course, many European nations follow suit with that red, white, and blue pattern. As a matter of fact,
if you look at Great Britain, they have the stars and the kind of almost look like an explosion. I get that.
Most European nations have a red or white component to what they're doing. Of course, the uber Christian Jacob, Jacob and Boaz, the white and the red, all of that. I don't want to jump too far down a rabbit hole. You can go back and watch the episode I did on the American flag and how that is important. And also this piece right here. So if anybody thought that the reason why I said last show that I don't want anybody to feel like they have imposter syndrome on the 4th is because one of the very reasons that King Leopold chose the 4th but chose red, white, and blue as his initial flag colors was because after he came to Kemet or Egypt during his, journeys throughout Africa, he saw that the upper, middle, and lower crowns of Egypt, in fact, was red, white, and blue. And during that time, when, of course, a lot of the European crowns were trying to gain their glory, Europe or Kemet already had its glory and desperately chasing to get a piece of it throughout, of course, you and I know, throughout, centuries of antiquity, thousands of years, is the European trying to chase and understand what's going on in the Nile Valley, the Punt Valley, and the Kush Valley. So here's a little piece of what Brother Taj Bey was talking about. The white crown or the Hajet was of the Southern Kingdom. White represents the pattern for Southern Kingdom of Egypt or Kingdom of Judah, depending on what your religious affiliation is. Hope you ain't rocking with them Khazars, but that's a whole nother show. The red crown or the Deseret was the lower kingdom or the northern kingdom. So red represents the pattern for Northern Kingdom of Egypt. And then the blue crown, the quintessential blue crown, mistakenly called the war crown, the essence of a thing, its purest, most concentrated form. And then, of course, the kingdom of Israel, not the kingdom of Israel, but the king of Israel. He's talking about, what's the guy's name? Bulin Kagan or Bulin Kagan grafted a lot of what that country came to be representative after the blue crown or the Kepresh that was worn in the quintessential royal crown of Kemet. So at the bottom, I hope you guys can see this. We have the war crown, the blue, the southern crown, the white, the northern crown, the red, the crown for the United Kingdoms. And then you have how the world has matriculated as to using these colors, their vibrancy, their radiance, to represent what they represent today. Is that my mistake, bro? What do you think?
No, so what I would say to that, you're right. So they got their flag color from observing what took place on the continent of Africa, not what they observed in the galaxies.
Yes, and yes, I would agree with that too. I would agree.
Because you're talking at a time King Leopold came after 1776.
Yes,
and so a lot of at that time, remember too, they weren't listening to what the Africans were telling them.
Go ahead.
So I agree with, I'm just saying that when it comes to them knowing the colors of the universe, they were just always was lost until a later time. And then for those who did by chance listen to what it was the African had to say. And I'm sure the Africans showed and proved to them what some of these things were. And a lot of that really didn't come about until around the time of King Leopold.
Give me 1 second. Keep going. Just give me 1 second.
So one of the things we do have to understand is there's not much that we see in American society that isn't a knockoff of who and what we were as a people.
You're right.
And I don't have it. I got to search for it in my archives. But I have one even to show you the Confederate flag. Hold on, let me look at my while I'm here. See if I can bring it up.
Okay, so I stand corrected about King Leopold, but it was, I believe it was, hold on. I was trying to be very accurate about who I was speaking on. It was definitely a European king who discovered this this star burst in the star cluster. Give me 1 second. Trying to get to my sources.
How the heck did I find these?
Okay. All right. So while that takes other digging, I will get back to you guys on the, hold on. Let me see, 1054. Star explosion. Because according to the fables, he was alerted by his, not Leopold, but the particular monarch was told by his people about the star explosion, and then began from that point on to idolize the star explosion, as well as what that, and of course they had knowledge that the Kemetans designed their entire living, culture, and mathematics on the star and the star patterns and the stars, how the stars ruminate.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, here we go. Give me 1 second. Supernova reported in European history. 1054, Crab Nebula, East Asia. Reference. I'm trying to find the king that this was associated with so we could be accurate. 1054 AD was widely reported as the brightest star in China. Yet a single record of the star from outside the east is definitely known. In Arabic work, cities and observation, which probably originated from Constantinople. One of these accounts of the supernova of AD relates as it was visible in the daytime for 23 days. Okay, so this particular supernova that we're talking about, they had rumored that it was visible for 23 days. Now, this is not only talked about in European studies, but it's also talked about in Asian studies.
Mm-hmm.
As the star was well placed for visibility before dawn, its position would be relatively easy to locate after the sun had risen, hence an apparent magnitude of the star at the maximum. The supernova, which appeared in the constellation Taurus, remained visible for 21 months. Before considering the question of the European observations, we need to first summarize what is known for the appearance location of the star. Trying to see. So they did honor this astrological occurrence in China and in Japan. And I'm trying to get the European monarch that was involved in this as well. But there was a lot of folks too who the Renaissance, the two most recent outbursts occurred during the Renaissance, and both supernovae were extensively observed by European astronomers, notably Tycho Brahe of 1452 and Johannes Kepler of 1604. medieval supernova, the most brilliant, appeared in the lupus in 2000 in 1006. So, in other words, so to shorten all of this, and that's my mistake for saying King Leopold. I just got my mind wrapped into the flag piece, but he was involved with how the original flag of red, white, and blue got postulated throughout Europe, but this particular supernova that exploded in that red, white, and blue appearance in the spectrum is one of the reasons why when you celebrate the 4th of July, the fireworks go up and they modernize it after the red, white, and blue explosion that happened in 54. And it started with the actual Chinese. They did this first. And then Europeans kind of joined the bandwagon once they started experimenting with gunpowder and fireworks out of bamboo shoots. And I'll play a little bit of that right now. Quick little dip on this Real HD show. Check it out. Here we go.
Stretches back centuries before the first Independence Day celebration in Philadelphia in 1777. The origins can be traced to ancient China, actually, where people would roast bamboo stalks until they exploded. Over time, Chinese alchemists enhanced this concept by filling bamboo shoots with gunpowder and iron shavings to create this sparkling effect. As gunpowder and the knowledge of firework making spread through trade routes, fireworks became part of official celebrations throughout Europe. Now, when America began celebrating Independence Day on July 4th, fireworks naturally became a part of the festivities. During the Revolutionary War, the first July 4th fireworks display was actually believed to serve as a morale booster. Initially, celebrations included the firing of cannons and guns, but as public safety grew, firearms were phased out, making room for fireworks. Today, fireworks remain a well-established tradition on July 4th in the United States, and a significant amount of fireworks continue.
All right, so that's the skinny on fireworks. That's how fireworks have, I guess, matriculated from China to Europe to America, on and on and on. And what you're seeing or what you're witnessing when you go ahead and participate in the 4th of July, I guess, events, if you will, do you think we're seeing the reenactment of that supernova that took place? Since that was such a pivotal part for the Re-Enlightenment era, for a lot of the kings and queens of Asia and Central Europe to be amazed by and be astonished by. What do you think?
I think they were, me personally, I just think they were copying the Chinese.
Now, hey,
I don't put too much, in some things, man, I think that they've been very calculating. Say that again?
No, I said that could be a thing.
They are calculating in so many ways. But then there's also a lot of, where they tend to, copy others. So it's hard to say, man. I got to look into a little more before I can give a really good answer to that one.
Yes, sir. So what's pivotal to think about in terms of those things is the grand conjunction, Sirius A, Sirius B, the Earth and the Sun. And they, according to, I want to show this little clip, but I don't have it in a slide to put on the screen. But anyway, so what I was just reading about the 1054 supernova is that was supposedly a Sirius B, Sirius A, which is considered the pup of Sirius B, and the Sun and the Earth, a conjunction of sorts that created that supernova as to how, all of those things began. And then, of course, as things metastasized throughout Europe with the clandestine groups and the occult groups, they use those time periods as, I guess, markers or standard bearers for how they move forth, what they find significant, just like, you know, when the recent blackout, not blackout, but the sun event that we just had earlier this year.
Mm-hmm. The eclipse.
The eclipse. Sorry, I lost the word for a second. Just like the recent eclipse, you had them sending up their satellites and their ships and their whatever, trying to get a glimpse, get some radiation, or try to analyze or, you know, maximize the power and transcendency of a solar event. So is it, and I'm asking everybody out there too, not just Brother Mozzie, is it possible that this Series A, Series B conjunction that happened in 1054 was very similar to the event that just happened, the solar event that just happened? And do Europeans want to copy, or I guess emulate, the solar magnificence that those sorts of events symbolize? Being that we know that they love to copy and emulate a lot of other things. You know, they like to culturally appropriate a lot of other things. Do you think because a lot of them were dealing in the astrological sciences, the astrolabs of it all, to witness an event like that, do you think that this is something that they're trying to recreate the energy for and the magnificence for? And then once again, like a lot of other things, kind of perverse and moving in a different direction than its origin? Let us know in the chat while Brother Mozzie is getting ready to chop that one down. Let us know in the chat where you're at. Do you think that this grand conjunction, which happened a multitude of times since then, can and will be the basis for what we see in an occult perspective of how the 4th of July is originated, or the reason why the red, white, and blue stuff explodes in the sky, and it's such a ominous, I guess, undertaking? What do you think? What do you guys think? Let us know.
I'm sorry, man. I was waiting for people to say stuff.
No, that's cool. No, that's fine. We don't have a whole lot of people in the chat or on the stage tonight. It's kind of just me and you, so it's all good. But what's interesting about that also is the constellation of Betelgeuse. Are you familiar?
Never saw Betelgeuse or
no, it's a constellation.
With the constellation. No, I'm not familiar with the Betelgeuse constellation.
Yeah, it's supposedly been in that same cluster of constellations that caused the supernova and that explosion. And it's very interesting that when all you have to do to see some of the significance of what that red star cluster is emulating, you go to the regular Betelgeuse Hollywood piece. And whenever you see the Betelgeuse joint, whenever you see the graphics and the art of it and the cover art and everything that they went into to create the Beetlejuice movie, it's all about the stars in the heavens. It's all about the nomenclature of the, coming forth by day, the way that people ascend from the physical plane to the astrological plane. It's interesting, everybody thought Beetlejuice was this like wily comedy piece. But what was interesting about it, as I kept doing the research with it, is that Betelgeuse was considered a red star cluster in that same system. But the dog in Betelgeuse, I guess, was representative of the Dogon, or the Canis Major system that kind of overrides all of that, that kind of like encapsulates that in the way that human beings understood it hundreds of thousands of years ago. And whenever you see a graphic or a painting or a picture of Beetlejuice, he's always this wily dude with these prison like jumpers on. And then in the background, what do you see? Stars. every time Beetlejuice appeared in any sort of graphic, any sort of art, any sort of thing, what do you see in the background? Space. And I just find that interesting. I find it interesting how a dog that they said, of course, what did they call the Dogon star, right? The dog days of summer, the Dogon, right? Canis Major, right? The Canis Major cluster of stars, short for K9. And then of course you get your Game of Thrones and your, the Starks who who wear the dog star as their family sigil. But it was really the Dogon people who brought that Series B knowledge into fruition, or brought it into, I guess, concept for the world to consume. Do you think Hollywood plays this out?
I think so.
And is giving away a little bit more than they're letting on with the whole Beetlejuice piece? Why you think?
I would say Hollywood definitely uses history and uses stuff that they know that the average person don't understand.
Right. Right. Here's the Beetlejuice picture. This is the infamous Beetlejuice picture. As soon as it loads up, I'll put it up so you can see it. I thought that quote was apropos as well. All the ways that Beetlejuice has lived beyond. So we know the stars last for infinite amounts of time in the space and in the galaxy. But then every time you see this Beetlejuice thing pop up, all of the cover work and the art and the supposed nature of him rising after saying Beetlejuice 3 times. Hey, you know what I thought, bro? It's almost like the Candyman piece, right? You say the Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice 3 times, just like Candyman. You say that 3 times. And then this demonstrative figure arises from essentially the dead. Do you think that has like Christ-like themes within it? What do you think?
I think what they always are trying to, they're always trying to bolster somewhere in there the European Christness.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he comes across and he has these mystical, magical, wonderful powers, and he could change humanity and he can do all these wild things. But, once again, just like you would see from the Catholic monarchs, and you see in those old paintings, what do they all have like behind their head? That little solar. They call it the halo, but we know it's a depiction of the sun. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting, man. All these things are interesting that we're talking about tonight. Do you have anything on this, bro? Have you ever done some research on this whole piece with the esoteric or occult meaning behind the 4th of July? Because really, the 4th, when they signed the Declaration of Independence, it was the 2nd of July.
Right.
It wasn't actually the 4th. So they actually moved it to the 4th for a specific purpose. What do you think that purpose was, bro?
Don't know, man. I haven't done the research on that one.
Got you. So we're gonna continue, man. We're gonna do some more on this as the weeks move on, and as the weeks come around. We'll do some more on this on Wednesday. But we gotta be a little bit more aware of what we're celebrating, what we're getting into, and what we're pledging our time and our money and our loyalty to, especially if we're talking about European holidays. Ishamusha Barashango has a really dope book called European Holidays, African Genocide, right?
European holidays, mental genocide.
Mental genocide. That was African. Mental genocide. Yep. And that's a couple of volumes of that. So you can get into that. And then also Barashango has several, lectures online that you can kind of go on YouTube and check out his lectures. Now, this brother don't hold his tongue. He's very sharp with it. So if you don't like getting it straight and direct with a little bit of cussing in there, Don't watch his lectures. But if you could extrapolate the information, that's the powerful part. Extrapolate the information that the brother's breaking down, because that's the powerful part. So we getting ready to sign off, bro. Do you have any events coming up? Any things that you promoting? Any things that you got going on for the summer that you want to?
No, just trying to enjoy it. That's about it. Just trying to enjoy the summer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, man. So for Mozzie and myself, the Vic, and I will have that European King that patronized that star cluster next time we come on the show. So we'll just tune in for that. Please like, share, subscribe, follow the channel, and let us know what parts of the show resonated with you. Was it the part where we were talking about health? Was it the part when we talked about Charles Brooks and the invention of the street sweeper? What part of or was the part where we're talking about the constellations? And on Wednesday, we're going to get into this, because this is something I didn't have a chance to get into tonight. This quote here: Trump endorsed candidate for governor, and this dude says some folks need killing. You hip to that, bro?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, man. So we'll talk about those meritorious manumissions next time we get on the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Biscuits is being buttered around here. All right, so everybody on the Real HD show, man, I appreciate y'all tuning in on all the channels that we are broadcasting to. We're back broadcasting to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. We are Mob Crush, D-Live, Trovo Nation, heavy in here for us. I think we got about maybe 1,000 people on Mob Crush. Let me look at the exact 1,054. Mob Crush be holding it down, man. Come on through, man. Make the Real HD show your home for information and awareness, so we can move fearless. I'm going to say peace and walk with power. You got something before we get out of here, bro?
Just keep the struggle alive.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's go all get back here with some questions, and let's have a higher discussion. Peace, y'all. Y'all have a good night.